Hey guys, welcome back.
To part 2.
Welcome to part 2 of breaking down Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz.
And we forgot to say like and subscribe and comment down below.
So basically, what happened in the last video is that we didn't have enough recording space to record the other video, so we had to make it into separate parts with how long the fight is. So you'll be hearing part 2 of what I have to say about Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. So what Nate Diaz was doing last night, he was walking in like a dead man. Jake thought it was over. He's walking like a dead man. Jake Paul dropped Nate Diaz for the first time in his career. What Nate Diaz did well in the 7th round to win that round, in my opinion. Nate Diaz is dodging all his punches. Nate Diaz is fighting Jake Paul. So what Nate Diaz used to do in the MMA is he used to get in the clinch and he used to punch you. In boxing, it's illegal now. So like literally, I need to shut up now. So then he didn't know that you're not allowed to do that. So he goes back to his MMA habits. And Jake Paul is coming off a loss against Tommy Fury, but he won last night. They're gonna fight again. Jake Paul looked good with his uppercuts. Nate Diaz. Anybody that thought that Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz was close, the only reason why it could have been close is because of the amount of pressure that Nate Diaz was throwing. Nate Diaz, the minute the fight started, Jake Paul was on from the rip. The minute the round started, the minute the first bell rung, Jake Paul was on. What he did good in the first round is he was light on his back foot. He was feeling this. He's doing this.
So round 8 it started.
Jake, in my opinion, I think, bro, of course. I'll figure that out later. What Nate Diaz did in that round is that Nate Diaz looked good, yeah. Nate Diaz, I think, in my opinion, won round 8. You don't have. So also, I think Jake Paul should win. Nate Diaz is walking like a dead man, making sure that nobody can even touch him. Jake landing good shots right now. But in my opinion, round 8 went to Jake Paul. Jake's a good boxer, and I don't think Nate landed heavy in that round, and that's why I think he won the round. Based on the final seconds, Nate Diaz won that round. Based on what I saw, you can argue that Nate Diaz even won round 9, but most likely Jake Paul. Nate Diaz has landed more shots than Jake Paul. Yeah. Oh, and Jake Paul threw 17 punches, landed through 61 punches, landed 17. Nate Diaz, what Nate did? Nate Diaz threw 57 and land 17 of them.
So we only have a little minutes left.
So you'll see there's no part 3, right?
Nope.
Let's just finish the minutes. So what Jake Paul did well, I think he was listening to Theo Chambers, pretty much. He came out light. Nate Diaz was having fun. The only reason then Ariel Helwani came to the ring, asked Jake Paul, "How do you feel?" Jake Paul said, "Ooh, I feel good." Jake Paul said that, "I want Nate Diaz in an MMA ring." In my opinion, it's a bad idea for Jake. He doesn't know what this man is capable of. Nate lands on you. Nate Diaz, the reason why he lost, there's no excuses why he lost, but the reason, in my opinion, why he lost is he didn't bring the pressure.
Nate Diaz?
Yeah, Nate Diaz didn't bring the pressure. And Nate Diaz going to the 10th round, I think Nate Jake Paul won all the rounds except for round 2 and 8, maybe even 3. So it would have been 3-7 on my scorecard. So in my opinion, I think Jake Paul won the fight. Nate Diaz, you can also argue that Nate Diaz won round 10. You can wonder, bro. He's just punching him.
Who won this round?
I think Jake Paul. No, Nate Diaz. This is the 3rd round he won.
How much did Jake Paul win?
I think Jake Paul won 7 and Nate Diaz won 3. I think. So what Jake Paul did well in that fight was pretty much. Now you're gonna see Jake Paul win by decision. He does. Now what Jake Paul was doing in the final seconds is holding on for dear life. I think Jake Paul had a good performance, so did Nate Diaz. Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz. So Jake Paul the first judge scored 97-92. 98-91 again for the second judge. So Jake Paul, I think, got the 2 scorecards. And Logan Paul is gonna fight on the Prime card on October 14th.
For some reason, he decided to join.
He was in the WWE. He showed up just in time for the fight.
So
wait. It's been your boy Marcelo
and Miguel.
Peace.